Welcome back. Today we're going to discuss the topic called subject plus verb agreement. This is what we're going to discuss today. I want to tell you the importance of the subject and verb agreement. Before we're going to start that, I guess most of you might aware of the tenses. It is not only enough for you to learn tenses when we are actually learning a language, but also we have to make ensure whenever we are writing a sentence or whenever we are speaking to, we have to make ensure whether the subject is agreeing with this verb or not, and whether this verb is agreeing with this subject or not. Because why I'm telling you, we the people who are making a lot of mistakes when we are writing and when we are speaking to. Because the subject and the verb are the most important, these two, the subject and as well as the verb are the most important elements of a sentence. Without a subject, we cannot frame any sentence, or without this verb, we cannot actually frame any sentence. So that is the reason these two are actually called as an important elements of a sentence. See here, the relationship between or the relationship of these two, the subject and as well as verb, relies on two things. They are person and as well as number. On these two things, the subject and as well as verb relationship lies on. Because the verb of a sentence must agree with its subject in regard to a person and as well as number. That is what you have to understand. And the number of the subject and the number the number of the subject can be maybe singular or it may be plural. We the people have learned in our schooling, if I'm not mistaken, in our schooling, this is what we were taught by our teachers, English teachers, that if there is if the subject of a sentence started with a singular noun, you must use singular verb. If the subject of a sentence started with a plural noun, you have to use plural form of the verb. But it is applicable only in certain conditions. But we the people who are supposed to be in the position to understand this point here, the point is here, a few nouns, though they are in singular, but they take plural form of the verb. But some nouns, though they are in singular form, they may be taking singular noun. For example, bread and butter is my favorite breakfast. This is one sentence. The next one, bread and butter are my favorite breakfast. I gave two sentences here. I wrote two sentences. One is bread and butter is my favorite breakfast, and bread and butter are my favorite breakfast. So if I'm not mistaken, which one you going to think that is right? Whether the first one or the second one? Which one you are thinking? The correct one. Yes, most of us are going after this one because bread is separate and butter is separate. So that's the reason we are opting the second one. But I'm telling you one thing. When you go to hotel for breakfast, when you order for idli, or when you order for puri, or when you order for chapati or dosha, are they going to give you only dosha, or are they going to serve dosha along with the chutney? Yeah, obviously they are not two, they are single thing. So this is how it has to be. This is how it's supposed to be framed. When you are considering two nouns as a single thing, when you are considering these two nouns as a single thing, then according to our rule, we must use a singular form of the verb. You're not supposed to say like this. Bread and butter are my favorite breakfast. When you go for breakfast and you served bread. Along with this bread, there are going to be two options that can be shared, that can be added. Either the jam or the butter will be added over there. So when they are suffering, when they are serving you the bread, definitely either of these going to be served, bread or butter or the jam going to be served. So whenever we are going and considering that these two are a single thing, then we have to make ensure that then we should use singular form of the verb. Bread and butter is my favorite breakfast. That is how you have to say. You're not supposed to say bread and butter are my favorite breakfast. If you are using are my breakfast, you are considering bread is separate and butter is separate. Then you have to place the article the before to them. The bread and the butter are my favorite breakfast is okay. But if you are talking exclusively considering these two as a single thing, then you have to use singular form of the verb. That is how it has to be. And take one more example. I'll show you one more example so that you will be understanding better. Right here. The founder and the chairman, the founder and the chairman have attended the meeting. Right. What are you observing here? The founder and the chairman. How many people are there? Two people. So you got two nouns which are in singular and followed by this as actually joined with the conjunction and. Remember one thing, when two nouns are joined by this and, make sure you have to use plural form of the verb, because the founder is completely different and the chairman is completely different. We are not considering them that those two people are same. They are completely different people. So founder is different and chairman is completely different. So that is the reason whenever we are talking like this, make sure we have to use plural form of the verb. So what are the rules of this? When it comes to this one, subject verb agreement, we are supposed to learn, we have to go after certain rules and regulations so that we will be having an idea how to frame a sentence when it comes to the situations like this. And even when we are speaking or when we are writing something, we the people who are supposed to be in the position to ensure that we are writing an appropriate sentence or not. The point is here, when you are considering two nouns as a single thing, then we have to use singular form of the verb, which is joined by this conjunction that is and. And if sometimes, if you are not considering like that, if two nouns are joined by and, they are completely different persons now. So that is the reason we use plural form of the verb. That is how it has to be. And also when we are measuring distances too, for example, 150 kilometers. 150 kilometers is a plural form. So what we think, we must use a plural form of the verb after that. But that is not the right way. 150 kilometers is a big distance. That is how it has to be. That is how we have to say. It is not 150 kilometers are a big distance. No. If you are using are after kilometers, you are making a mistake. Because that is a rule of English language. And whenever we are talking about the distances, we should not place we should not place a plural form of the verb over there. So whenever you are saying, or whenever you are talking about the distances, make sure you have to use the singular form of the verb after to this. Just like this, 150 kilometers is a big distance. That is how it has to be. Let us discuss this topic more in detail. Let's see.
As I have told you, the importance of this subject verb agreement. And in this slide, we're going to discuss, in this presentation, we're going to see the rules of the subject verb agreement. Where are we supposed to learn? Where are we supposed to after the subject verb agreement rules? Because whenever we are learning something, when it comes to especially English grammar, we have to get aware. We have to be aware of the rules. Otherwise, there is a chance to make mistakes, because we are not actually living in English world. So as soon as you out of this classroom, or once we're done with this classroom, most of the people, every one of you, going to start speak in your mother tongue, would be your Telugu, or you're going to speak in Hindi, or whatever maybe your mother tongue is. You are the people who's going to talk about in your mother tongue. Are you going to talk about something in your mother tongue? And when you're doing that, so whether you when it comes to English language, you cannot speak like that. We cannot speak like that. So in order to verify, in order to check what the language that we are using, or what the sentence that we are actually using, or no, whether it is grammatically correct or not, to check that we have to follow the rules. And not only that, not only when it comes to the speaking, and even at the time of writing too, at the time of writing too. So we have to make ensure whether the subject, whether this subject is agreeing with this verb or not, and this verb is agreeing with the subject or not. Because as I have told you in the in the no, in the introduction part about this topic, you might have witnessed most of us are making the mistakes like that. So to overcome all these mistakes, to put all these mistakes aside, we have to follow the subject verb agreement rules. Let's see first what actually the subject verb agreement. If you are actually seeing, as I have told you earlier, the subjects supposed to agree with or must agree with the verbs with one in number. So means, so depends on the subject. The verb may be in singular. Depend on the subject, it may be in the plural. We learned when we were in schooling, or when we were in college, intermediate college. This is what we were taught actually, what they actually taught, what our English teachers taught. So if the subject is in singular, we have to use singular form of the verb. If the subject is in plural, we have to use a plural form of the verb. That is what we actually learn. But there are certain areas where we cannot use every time singular verb, where we cannot even use the plural verb, right? So in order to know that, we have to go after this topic. And if this see here, yeah, if your subject is a singular, the verb must be also in singular. So if your subject is plural, we have to use plural verb. This is what we actually taught, and this is what we actually learned. But when it comes to this topic, we're going to have a different set of rules. So how they are going, what they are, and with examples, we're going to see. And next, and also the relationship between subjects and verbs lie at the heart of grammatical correct in English writing. Whenever we are writing in English, we have to make sure of the grammar, and there shouldn't be any grammatical errors. Why we are actually using, why they actually introduced this topic in engineering level. So as I have told you earlier, I just wanted to recollect the same thing again. That we being BTech students, we must be in the position to write and speak in English in a better way. Otherwise, there isn't any difference between you and the person who's pursuing his some no degree in different areas. But when it comes to BTech, you are technically no technically updated people, and you knew each and everything. And today or tomorrow, you're the one who's going to represent yourself. If you people are going to speak about yourself in your mother tongue, nobody is going to entertain you, because the universal code, there is an universal language which we have to follow, for which you have to use English. So that is the reason we the people supposed to be in the position to make sure whether the structures, whether the sentences are grammatically correct in writing or not. We have to ensure of that. Our next subject verb agreement unifies the sentence and makes it easier to understand. For that sake, we have to go after. Um, we have to apply these formulas, these formulas over here. And next, see the first rule is here. Don't get confused when we're actually going after the rules. Okay, so try to note down, take a note, and jot them down, so that you can easily understand what rule talks about. Okay, the first rule is here. If the subject, when the subject consists of, see here, don't forget, the subject is actually here, subject plus verb plus object. That is the structure. That is the structure of a subject. Okay, subject, verb, and the object. Okay, I ate food. I ate food. I is the subject, ate is the verb, food is the object. So remember, so on this structure, we're going to frame the sentences. Okay, so here the subject could be anything for that matter. It could be no, a name, or can we can